Hey guys, Jared from the Vinyl Corner, and today we are going to be doing another collection update video. As always, I am buying new records all the time. I pick up random things here or there, trade them into where I work, or I just trade in doubles or condition upgrades and stuff like that through my collection all the time. So I always have stuff coming in and out of my collection. So yeah, this is one of the bigger batches I have, so I'm gonna try and rifle through these a little quickly, and I'm going to show these first three off all together because I made a video on them, but just wanted to show off these Brockhampton unofficial pressings again. I'll leave a card if you guys want to go watch the videos and see those a little more in depth, but they're some of the best bootlegs I own. The sound quality is pretty solid for a bootleg, and yeah, can't really say too much else about that. Also, in the same vein, I made a video for this too, this Leviathan Verrader 4LP box set. This thing is a monster, and I suggest you go watch the video on that because the artwork all over that is absolutely bonkers. So yeah, I'm going to start off with things that I pre-ordered or things along those lines. The first of those being the newest Blood Incantation record, Hidden History of the Human Race. This is just a fantastic death metal record with some progressive ideas, a lot of themes of sci-fi and stuff like that. So yeah, this was a thing I pre-ordered off of their Bandcamp. I loved this album. You will be seeing it in a video very soon, but I got the Galaxy variant of it. It's like clear blue with like white and some green splattered in there. So yeah, sounds really nice. Dark Descent did a very nice job with the packaging, both aesthetically and how nice it sounds, and it comes with this really awesome book that has the lyrics and some references and things like that if you want to do some research on aliens and history and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the only thing I don't like is they gave you a second sleeve for the record, but it actually doesn't fit into the gatefold. It's really a little annoying, but again, I'm not gonna bitch about that. This album is fantastic. Highly recommend that to death metal fans. If you haven't heard it, they made a huge splash last year. This is the Idols live album. You guys know I'm a gigantic fan of them. I got to meet them and hang out with them while they were doing a sound check at their show in Philly 2 years ago. So yeah, I just really can't say much about them. They're one of the best bands we have right now for just how amazing their lyrics are and how interesting they are sound-wise. This comes on really nice translucent pink vinyl. So yeah, this vinyl came in 3 variants. I forget what the variants were in terms of the coordination of the colors, but one was like yellow vinyl, one was orange vinyl, and each of them had different covers. You guys know me, I love black and pink, so this was right up my alley, and I love the picture on the front cover there. So yeah, Idols, if you're a fan of punk, post-punk, sort of experimental stuff, hardcore, like, they're just one of the best bands. I can't say enough good things about them. I also just did a video on this recently, so I'm not going to talk about this too much, but this is the newest JPEGMAFIA album, All My Heroes Are Cornballs. Absolutely amazing album. I preferred it to Veteran personally. Next up, this is my pre-order for Danny Brown's You Know What I'm Saying. Absolutely loved this record. I just love how straightforward it is. Danny was just showing off that even though he can make an experimental conceptual piece like Atrocity Exhibition, he can just rap his ass off over good beats, and it's fantastic. So yeah, this is just on black vinyl here, and it comes with a very cool wheel of stickers in there. So yeah, can't say too much. You guys will be seeing that on my top 25 albums of the year from last year video, which will be coming out soon if it's not out already. I'm gonna say this a lot, but this I also did a video for recently, so I'm not going to talk about much. Brockhampton's Ginger, really great album. Was a little disappointed with the packaging of it for what they described it as, but great pressing, awesome album. Definitely one of my favorites in their catalog so far. In the same vein, I just uploaded this recently, the Wise Blood Titanic Rising, Rough Trade Sessions EP. Great little EP, great acoustic versions of some very amazing Baroque songs. I'm gonna sound like a fucking broken record. Black Midi's live album, live at Canal Street, New York. Also did a video for this. It looks like pizza. It's also a very great live album. Highly recommend that if you can get your hands on it or find a rip of it. And the last for pre-orders I have is FKA Twigs' newest album, Magdalene. Absolutely loved this record. You guys, again, we'll be seeing this in my top 25 albums of 2019 video coming very soon. This is just a fantastic art pop record with some really glitchy ideas. And yeah, I absolutely love Twigs. She's one of my favorite artists. She's also one of the most gorgeous human beings on the planet. And this comes on a beautiful red vinyl over here. So yeah, if you're a fan of people like Kate Bush or Bjork and you haven't given FKA Twigs a chance, you're really missing out. She is definitely one of the better in that style currently. So yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. The record, again, sounds very nice. So yeah, I would like to have more of her releases on vinyl eventually. And then next up is a bunch of things that have random purchase stories attached to them. So this was just purchased through Newberry Comics. This is Karin Dalton's In My Own Time. This is a wonderful folk record that I think doesn't get the shine it quite deserves. And yeah, this is a really beautiful pressing, limited to 300 copies. It is this black smoke with some swirl in it. So yeah, absolutely beautiful pressing. It also sounds fantastic. It was done by Light in the Attic Records, who is one of my favorite labels in the game right now. You guys will be seeing a couple more of their things actually in this video. But yeah, this is a great folk album if you're a fan of, you know, that whole folk revival era of the 60s and 70s. I highly recommend checking her out. She infuses a lot of other really beautiful ideas into her music, some Americana and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, can't recommend Karin Dalton enough. She's an unsung hero. Next up, I bought this from one of my Instagram followers who is a very cool person. This is No Wave New York. This is the various artist compilation that kind of kicked off the no wave scene, or at least really early on epitomized what the scene was all about. This was curated and produced by one Mr. Brian Eno himself. So yeah, he said he found a copy at a local record store for a very good price, had never heard it, so he picked it up and listened to it, and he wasn't really into it, but he knows that I'm a huge No Way fan, so he gave me a chance at it. And this is an original press on Anti Records, so yeah, very awesome. It's in wonderful shape. It's got some surface scuffs, but it didn't affect the play at all. This sounds absolutely fantastic. So yeah, this was definitely something I was very excited to add to the collection. It's a staple of a scene that I'm a huge advocate for, and yeah, this was just very cool that I finally got to have an original in my collection, and he gave me a fantastic price. So shout out to you, you know who you are. Thank you for the hookup, and hopefully we'll be doing business more in the future. Next, we have Mother Earth's Plantasia by Mort Garson. Sacred Bones Records, who is another great label that you'll be seeing a couple things from in this video. Put this back out recently on vinyl. It hasn't been reissued since it was originally released in the 70s, and so I got this beautiful Starburst green variant. I love how each side, one's darker and one's lighter. I love when that comes with that contrast. So yeah, this is a great ambient record. It's got some like spacey ideas. It's like synthesizer based music. It's just absolutely wonderful, and it comes with a whole beautiful book where it gives you tips and stuff like that on how to care for your plants. So yeah, this record is one of my favorites. It's just a beautiful record. It's good for background music. It's good for when you need to do some thinking, but it's also good for uplifting your spirit and making you feel one with the planet that you are a part of. So yeah, this record's absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend that one enough. I actually would love to play that for my children someday when they're very young, because I feel like that would be great for kids. Next up, my brother sent me some stuff for Christmas, and this is what they were. This is the Mayhem Death Crush EP. He knows that black metal is like my thing, and this was one of the last pieces of Mayhem vinyl that I really wanted for the collection. So yeah, if I remember right, this is like a 2015 repress on Back on Black Records, and it is actually on clear vinyl over here. So yeah, this is the first major step of Mayhem becoming the black metal pioneers that they were. I love this EP. A lot of people aren't as into it, but I feel like this is such a crazy little piece. It's got some very experimental ideas before they would go on to be just completely straightforward, like second wave black metal. But yeah, absolutely love that. Very happy to have that in the collection. Now I'm only missing like one or two things from Mayhem that I really want to have in the collection. And the next one that he got me was the one I was definitely the most excited for. This is Mika Levi with Under the Skin's soundtrack. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. If you guys have not seen this, it is on Netflix. Please take an hour and a half out of your day and just get absolutely mind-fucked by this movie. It changed a lot of the way I view cinema, and the huge reason that it impacted me was the soundtrack. It's so visceral, it's so creepy, daunting, eerie, just hanging in the background, but it reminds you that it's there. It's very captivating when it needs to be, but it also blends like a chameleon when it needs to. It's one of my favorite soundtracks ever made. It's just one of my favorite albums ever, and I just didn't have it. So yeah, very, very stoked to have that one. Shout out my brother Skylar. Love you, pal. Next up, another Light in the Attic purchase. This is Harumi Hosono's Hosono House. So yeah, Light in the Attic has been absolutely destroying the game with their Japanese reissues the last couple years. They've been shedding a lot of light on historically significant recordings that many of us wouldn't be very in tune with over the pond, but yeah, this is such a great package. This album is just, again, a really quaint, beautiful folk record with a lot of really amazing musicianship on it, and some of the best recording ever. And Light in the Attic did a really incredible job pressing it on vinyl. The wax on here just sounds spectacular, and everything is very, very warm. It's just so well done. I can't really say enough good things about Light in the Attic. They're definitely one of the record labels that I go to the most when I'm just looking for random things to purchase or check out, because they have a really good curation staff, and they just do great jobs with their pressings. So yeah, and usually they're pretty inexpensive. So shout out to Light in the Attic. Shout out Harumi Hosono. Next up, you guys will be seeing the video on this very soon, but this is the 2019 reissue of Lightning Bolt's self-titled debut album. I got to see Lightning Bolt recently, and they had these at the show. I actually got this about a month before they were supposed to release, because they brought it to the show early. So yeah, it's a double LP on yellow vinyl. This is their live album. This is really chaotic. I find a lot of the time this gets very overshadowed in their catalog, but the first song is one of my favorite Lightning Bolt pieces. So yeah, also Brian Chippendale said my name at the concert, and I nearly shit my pants and had a heart attack at the same time. So that was absolutely incredible. And then I think the rest of these are all things that I picked up through my work, whether they came in collections or I ordered them and got them delivered or what have you. So yeah, the first one, I've been wanting this one for years, and this is Os Mutantes. Os Mutantes. This is some really crazy psych garage rock and pop from Brazil back in the 60s, and yeah, it's just on black vinyl over here. But yeah, this is a really spastic, ahead of its time album. It has a lot of really interesting musicians, and obviously the whole Brazilian scene is very intertwined with one another, so a lot of people who are on this album will be on other very important releases, and they tend to cross over and be friends and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if I remember right, this is a 2007 Russian reissue, because I believe I got my Cluster 2 reissue from this label. And yeah, they do a really good job, surprisingly, for Russian pressings in 2007. Next, I surprisingly didn't have this already, but this was Wise Blood's Titanic Rising. Again, you will be seeing this very soon in my top albums of the year list. But yeah, this album took a little bit of time to grow on me to become one of my favorites of last year. I did like it when it came out, but towards the end of the year, something really awful happened in my life, and this album became really special to me. And it's just beautiful. It's kind of hard to talk about without me like choking up a little bit. But yeah, great album. You will be seeing that very soon. Also very happy to finally have an original of Tom Waits' Small Change. Definitely one of his best. I've had a reissue of this for years, but I was just very excited to finally get an original copy. Yeah, just one of his best albums. I feel like his writing on here is some of his absolute peak writing, and the cover just really epitomizes everything Tom Waits is about. So yeah, you guys know me, I absolutely love him. He's one of my favorite musicians of all time, so when the original came in, I had to grab it. This was an album I had just been listening to a lot, so I wanted to pick it up. This is Lee Morgan's The Sidewinder. Absolutely essential jazz music here. I can't really say much about this. This is one of the jazz albums people tend to talk about outside of people like Miles Davis and John Coltrane for very good reason. But yeah, this is a 2019 Blue Note reissue, and this sounds fucking incredible. Like some of the early 2010s Blue Note reissues don't sound the best, but this one sounds fantastic. So yeah, if you're looking for some jazz to get outside of the big two of the genre, check out that album. It's a great little thing to get you into jazz a bit more. Next up, we got the pop group with Why. Absolutely insane post-punk, lots of idea of dub reggae and artsy like punk music. But yeah, this is the 2019 re-release where it comes with a 12-inch single of She Is Beyond Good and Evil, which is very cool. It kind of annoys me because I just want to hear it as the first song, like it is on streaming, but I know it's not how it came in originally. So yeah, it also comes with a fucking huge poster that's this enormous, amazing collage piece. So yeah, this was a pretty expensive reissue, but again, the sound quality on this is absolutely fantastic. Very stoked to have this. Hopefully one day I will find an original, but for whenever long that takes, this will definitely do me very well. And here's another album that I was listening to a ton over the last little while. This is Unwound, Leaves Turn Inside You. This is just some of the best post-hardcore ever. These guys were some of the absolute geniuses when it came to reinventing what punk music could be. It could be more than just, you know, a couple chords, people yelling and being angry, and these guys managed to show off the ability to be able to write and characterize their album with a sense of atmosphere that would allow for people in punk music to kind of get into it, but it was also a lot more sophisticated and interesting. And just yeah, again, the last couple months of my life have been very hard, and that album's been helping me through a lot. So yeah, I definitely wanted to own that. Again, I surprisingly didn't own this already. This is Scott Walker's Scott 3. This is an absolutely essential album. I don't remember if I showed it off last video, but I also did get the Scott Walker 4 from the Abbey Road Studios half speed mastering. I think I did show it off actually, but yeah, Scott 3. This one's a little bit more experimental and kind of weird compared to Scott 4, which is a lot more straightforward, like Baroque pop. And I absolutely adore it for that reason. I pretty much enjoy Scott 3 and 4 equally. I think that they're both some of the best pop music like ever. But this one it has that little edge of melancholy and experimentalism that I like. So yeah, I mean, It's Raining Today is like one of my favorite songs ever. So can't really say much. Rest in peace to Scott Walker. Definitely one of the saddest musician losses because he really never made a bad album. He went from making some of the best pop music to making some of the most fucking freaky music ever in his later years. So yeah, great stuff. Sorry about that. Next up, this is the soundtrack to the movie The Lighthouse. If you guys have not seen The Lighthouse, I plead you, do whatever you can to see this movie. I have become so obsessed with this movie over the last little while. It's honestly probably in like my top 10 favorite films at this point. There's just something so enrapturing about it, and something that's captured me to want to rewatch it a stupid amount of times as I have in a short period. So yeah, the soundtrack is absolutely incredible. Drone music includes some ideas of like sonorism, and just does really good drones that are like perfect for the movie, like the setscapes that they're placed in. It just does so much to add atmosphere to the film, and even on its own, it's an incredible piece of work. So yeah, again, definitely has become one of my favorite soundtracks, and The Lighthouse is just a very special movie. I can't say it enough. I bought the Blu-ray. I've watched it like 5 times since it's came out here. It's kind of dumb, but I love it. So yeah, another soundtrack, we got Ennio Morricone with The Big Gun Down. This was in the price reduced at the place I work for like 2 months now, and I was just like, okay, I have to pick this up. And it's actually limited edition vinyl on like the sand and black splatter vinyl. I forget how many this was limited to, but I think it was like 600 or something like that. So yeah, obviously Morricone, most famous for his Good, the Bad, and the Ugly soundtrack, but a lot of his other soundtracks are nearly as good, and this is definitely one of the better ones in my opinion. He gets a little bit weirder in certain periods, which I also love that stuff, but like this just really rough kind of spaghetti western stuff I'm a huge sucker for, and that color vinyl was beautiful. So yeah, very, very cool. Happy to have that. Don't know why nobody picked that up before I did, but yeah. Next, I got this for really cheap, and I was very happy to find it. It's Talk Talk, It's My Life. Trying to find Talk Talk records since Mark Hollis passed away is like impossible and very expensive for the two that everybody wants. But yeah, I was very happy to have this. I have Color of Spring, and now this is my only other piece of Talk Talk vinyl. Hopefully I will get Laughingstock and Spirit of Eden one day, but I don't foresee that happening for a little while, and that was an original pressing. Next up, this is a 2000 reissue on Sundazed Records of Alexander Skipp Spence's Ore. This album is criminally underrated. Obviously, you guys know I love my folk music, my psychedelic folk stuff, and like my Nick Drake, and this is like right up that alley. I just absolutely love the story that he was in like Jefferson Airplane. He wasn't even supposed to play drums because he couldn't, but then he just looked like he was supposed to play drums, so he learned to play the drums. He played for Airplane, and then he played for Moby Grape, and then he got institutionalized, and then the day he got set free, he motorcycles down to the South in his pajamas to record his one and only album and disappear forever. Just such a weird tale, really captured in this music. It's some of the most esoteric like folk stuff ever. It's just very interpretive. You really have to think about it on your own and kind of come up with how you feel about it. And yeah, it's a really kind of scary but really beautiful encapsulation of a man with schizophrenia who loved acid that eventually had to be hospitalized and then just disappeared forever. It's just such a crazy thing, but that record is absolutely incredible. Next up, an original copy of Prince's 1999. Again, since Prince has passed away, it's kind of hard to find original Prince records, but I finally found a copy of 1999. It's an original over here, so very cool stuff. What can I say about Prince? He revolutionized pop music. He revolutionized just pop culture in general. He is an absolute icon. He was one of the most important figures to the pop industry, and he is dearly missed. So yeah, I had a reissue of that for the longest time, but was happy to get an original. Another Morricone soundtrack. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that for you, but yeah, this is very, very cool. This was also very limited. I can't remember exactly how many of these were limited to, but I think this one was either like 1,000 or 400. I know that's a huge difference, but I forget what it was. But yeah, this one comes on this beautiful orange vinyl, And this was actually a record store day release. And again, this was in the reduced bin at the place I worked for like months, along with that other Morricone soundtrack. So I was just like, I gave it time and I was like, nobody's buying these, so I might as well buy them because I love Morricone stuff. So yeah, very cool. Just again, a lot of great like orchestral, like spaghetti western stuff. Not as good as the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or even Big Gun Down, but still very cool. I got that for very cheap. It's a very limited piece, so that was awesome. This was very cool to add to my collection finally. This is Coney Island Baby by Lou Reed. This is another album that's a little hard for me to talk about due to what happened with my life in the last couple months. But this is also an album that I needed to own for the same exact purpose. So I was really happy to finally find an original. I've loved this album for years. Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge Lou fan. I'm a huge Velvet Underground fan. But someone very special to me likes this album a lot. And I wanted to have an original. So yeah, anytime I listen to this, I pretty much cry now. But it's okay. So that's cool. Next up, we have an original of David Bowie's Station to Station. This was just something I needed in my collection. This is my second favorite Bowie release next to Low. And again, I've had a reissue of this for years, but I've wanted an original for a long time. So yeah, again, an original in there. Just very cool. And then obviously, anytime I get an original copy, I always trade in my doubles to get store credit or just to buy other records. So yeah, like I said, things are always coming in and out of my collection. And here's another example of that. This is Tim Buckley's Goodbye and Hello. Again, have had it. I just got that reissue not too long ago, and then this came in. This is not an original. This is actually a second press, if I remember correctly, but it might be a first pressing. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But yeah, it's one of these dumb gatefolds where you have to do this. But yeah, but just very happy to get this. Again, I don't remember if this is an original or a second press, I'm sorry. But great album. Again, more of that really esoteric folk stuff that I am very into. And I can't give Tim Buckley enough praise. If you haven't listened to this man, please do. He's a revolutionary and he's very undersung comparatively to a lot of other big heroes. This was something I've been looking for years as well. This is an original copy of New Order's Technique. Definitely one of their best albums, and I just absolutely love the sleeve, how it's the negative of the other one. And again, this is an original in here. So yeah, not much to say about New Order. They are synth pop gods, and they went on to eventually start incorporating more ideas of like house and stuff like that into their music with this album, and it's absolutely wonderful. So yeah, can't say much good things about New Order, or too many good things about New Order. They're just one of the best bands ever, one of the most consistent catalogs, one of the most inspiring, and just great stories. Next up, another film that I have become hopelessly obsessed with. This is Uncut Gems. This soundtrack was done by Daniel Lopatin, also known as Oniotrix Point Never. And holy fuck, I love this gatefold. Like, the outside of it's all nice and matte, and then you open it and it's like this glossy like picture of the inside of the gem from the movie. So yeah, this is one of the best film soundtracks of all time. Again, it's just holy fuck. Daniel encapsulated this entire atmosphere of this movie into his soundtrack. It's something that works so singularly on its own as well. Like, anytime I was like driving and I didn't know what to listen to before I started like driving off, I would just toss this soundtrack on and it was like perfect, you know? Like, you're driving through a city, you're looking at people doing their daily routine, and it's just like the hustle and bustle. It's just like such a nice contrast to that with like this really kind of calm, ambient, like film score type stuff with really interesting synthesizer and effects. So yeah, absolutely wonderful stuff going on there. If you have not seen this movie, get the fuck over that it's Adam Sandler. He gave one of the best performances in film history in this movie. And I cannot wait for this movie to come to Blu-ray so I can hopelessly watch it more. I saw it 3 times in the theaters while it was out. I paid for 5 of my friends to go see it. So yeah, love that movie. Absolutely incredible soundtrack. Sorry about that. My camera shut off because I'm a dummy. But anyways, next up we have Africa Brass by the John Coltrane Quartet. This is a 2019 reissue over here. It just came in. I was listening to a lot of Coltrane during the last month, and I was like, hey, I don't have that one. I might as well grab it while I see it. And it's on this really beautiful orange vinyl over here, which is really nice accompaniment to the cover. But yeah, just more good John Coltrane. I mean, you guys know pretty much anything I don't have by Train that comes through, like, I'll pick it up. The pressing on this is pretty solid. Not the best on the planet or anything, but it's a good placeholder until I can find a nicer sounding copy. But yeah, really solid stuff here. Can't say much about Coltrane, you know. It's John fucking Coltrane. Then we got, I forgot to show this off a little bit earlier, but this is Tom Waits' Closing Time, also an original. Yeah, someone traded in a collection to our store, and these were in there. I let them sit for a little while, and nobody picked them up, so I grabbed it. Like I said, an original on Asylum over here. But yeah, this is the early Tom Waits stuff, the more blue-eyed crooner, barroom crooner type stuff, Sinatra-esque. But again, his tone of voice is so unique. His story writing ability is just very visceral, very interesting. It really hooks you in. And even on these earlier records where he's not as experimental or weird or pushing himself as much, I still think they are very great records and definitely worth the time of day. So like I said, I've had a reissue of that forever, so yeah. Alright, so sorry about that, my camera cut off again. But the last item I have to show for this video, this is Daniel Johnston's Chicago 2017. This was a really hard loss for me, the Daniel Johnston loss. It still hurts me a lot. I was planning on getting a Daniel Johnston tattoo not too long ago, and then he passed away, and it just made me want to do it even more. So very soon I will have some Daniel Johnston art on my body. But yeah, a portion of the proceeds of this vinyl go to the Hi How Are You Foundation, which is his foundation to get people to be more aware of mental health and to have an open discussion about it. And it comes on this beautiful clear with black and blue splatter vinyl. But yeah, this is an amazing show that he did in 2017 in Chicago. People like Jeff Tweedy are helping him on this album, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Daniel Johnston is just one of my favorite artists of all time. Just so raw, just so to the point, and again, someone very special to me. Love Daniel Johnston, and yeah, I'm very excited to have this. I also absolutely adore this cover. It has like these embossed like blue shiny stars, and it's just so beautiful, and just, yeah, it's really hard to think that he's gone because he was such an amazing and just kind of raw vision of a human and an artist. So yeah, that is everything that I picked up this month, guys. Let me know down below what your favorite thing I picked up was, and while you're down in the comments, hit that description, check out all those links, like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to check out a video at the end of this one. And until next time, guys, have a nice day.